Astana Expo 2017 is a landmark event for Kazakhstan and is one of the most significant opportunities for the young republic to be seen on the global stage. Expo 2017 will bring over 100 countries together to find joint sustainable development solutions. The topic of the World's Fair, future energy, is urgent and critical for today's global community. We will interview the Expo national commissioners and find out what the participants are preparing for this year's special Universal Exposition. Stay with us to learn more about the most fascinating and state-of-the-art smart and green technologies showcased this summer at Expo 2017. The final countdown to Astana Expo 2017 has begun. The young capital of Kazakhstan is rapidly changing and expanding in order to be able to receive the visitors of this 3-month-long global event. The specialized Universal Exposition will focus on finding sustainable clean energy solutions and on bringing countries together to address the global challenge of climate change. The United Kingdom is one of the major participants of the Expo. The theme of the event, Future Energy, is a sphere in which the UK Expo Commissioner, Professor Charles Hendry, has a lot of experience. He has worked extensively in the energy and trade sectors, was previously the president of the British Institute of Energy Economics, and is still the patron of the Nuclear Institute. Commissioner Hendry is currently making sure that the UK Expo Pavilion is ready before the opening day on June 10th.
We're all, I think, recognizing that it's a tight deadline, but we're going to be there on time. When the President comes around, probably on the 9th of June, the night before it all opens properly, then he'll be able to see that everything is done and ready. Charles
Hendry has previously served as the trade envoy to Kazakhstan. He has a well-rounded understanding of the importance of the World's Fair for Kazakhstan and hopes that the people of Kazakhstan will see the valuable contribution of this event.
I hope that they will see how important this is for your country, that this has been one of the most significant opportunities for Kazakhstan to be seen on the global stage and for other countries to understand what this country has achieved, what its ambitions are and how it's going to deliver those. And so to share in the happiness of Expo.
The UK Pavilion is one of the largest pavilions of the Expo. It is located in section C 1.3-3 with a total area of 1,101 square meters. The pavilion will occupy 2 floors and will neighbor the pavilions of Italy, Hungary, Finland and Lithuania. The main theme, We Are Energy. The UK is renowned for its award-winning pavilions. As Her Majesty's Ambassador to Kazakhstan, Dr. Carolyn Brown, assures, the design of the pavilion at this Expo will be a great celebration of British creativity and architectural innovation.
We've got one of the largest pavilions at Expo, and that's because the British government is really excited about developing and expanding its relationship here with its friends and developing new friends and reaching out to the region as a whole. The name of our pavilion is We Are Energy, and it takes a visitor through a journey. The journey starts several hundred years ago with different British inventions using energy. Energy that links people together, energy that opens up new horizons, and energy that inspires future innovation.
The UK design explores the origins of energy, commencing with the birth of the universe, taking visitors on the journey of energy from the sun all the way to our planet's landscape, climate, and human civilization, culminating in a 360-degree computer-generated universal landscape with an illuminated structure at its center, all inspired by human ingenuity.
The Expo theme is future energy, and my take on that was to think about the origins of energy. And we're going to take visitors back to the beginning of the universe, where energy began. So they'll start 13.8 billion years ago. We'll take them through to the creation of the sun, the earth, the landscape around us, the weather systems, human ingenuity and civilization, how we've used our senses and our intellect to kind of moderate the environment around us, through specifically to the UK and the inventions and discoveries we've made from past, present and future to deal with energy and the discoveries that we're making going forwards.
The UK Pavilion will offer visitors an interesting and exciting experience. It will be a multimedia, multi-sensory journey for the visitors that in the end leads to something special, a brand new super material called graphene.
It is a form of carbon that is two-dimensional. That sounds really weird, but let me explain. It's carbon atoms in a thin single atom layer lattice. And this has been known about since the 1960s. But the first time it was isolated in the world was in the University of Manchester in 2004 by two scientists who 6 years later were given the Nobel Prize in Physics. Now, having isolated this supermaterial called graphene, 200 times stronger than steel, almost invisible, immensely flexible, the world is now catching up and discovering ways of using this material.
Scientists have theorized about graphene for decades. It has been unintentionally produced in small quantities for centuries through the use of pencils and other similar graphite applications. But the first people to discover a way to isolate it were Andrei Geim and Konstantin Novoselov at the University of Manchester in 2004.
Indeed, we're only at the start of the use of graphene in the world, whether it's going to act as a super efficient membrane to filter salt from seawater and produce fresh water, or whether it's going to act as a film on the tires of cycles. It's now being used by some of those world-class international Olympic teams to do that. Or it's a super material, and the world is catching up with what it could do. And that's going to be the end of our journey. We are energy.
According to the UK Expo team, their country's participation in the Astana Expo 2017 will showcase the country's impressive capabilities in various fields of the alternative energy sphere and is an opportunity for British expertise to shine on the global stage. But at the same time, the design of the pavilion will also pay tribute to the cultural and historical heritage of the hosting country, Kazakhstan.
In the center of this journey is an enormous 21st century electronic multi-sensory, multimedia yurt, because Expo Astana 2017 is in the heart of Kazakhstan, and that's where the United Kingdom wants to showcase what it did, what it is doing, what it will do in the future, and to inspire young Kazakhstanis for the future.
The UK Pavilion is an extraordinary story in itself. Its design draws inspiration in the Kazakh tradition and combines UK innovation and creativity. Completing the world-class UK creative team is the renowned musician Brian Eno, who has composed an original soundscape for the pavilion.
As part of the multimedia experience that will be there for any visitor to the UK pavilion at Expo, the soundscape, the musical landscape for the visitors is going to be provided by an amazing artist called Brian Eno. Brian first came to international renown in the 1970s as a key part of a very famous British band called Roxy Music, and he's since developed and continues to develop music as an interactive experience.
Brian Eno is an English musician and composer. He's best known for his pioneering work in rock, ambient, pop and electronic music. The composer has helped to introduce a variety of unique conceptual approaches into contemporary music. He has designed an innovative new application for the iPhone that is paired with his Reflection album. The Reflection app is an alternate rendition of the album, described as an endless and endlessly changing version of the piece of music. Eno explains that his innovation evolves differently every single time and is a complex, generative program intended to give users an infinite scope of experience.
And when a visitor comes to the UK Pavilion, the very first part of that soundscape will be a single note, a point of departure for the visitor as they go through the journey that is going to culminate at the very centre of the UK Pavilion in this electronic interactive yurt and with the super material of the future, graphene. Brian earlier this year released what is thought to be the world's very first infinite musical album. He continues to push boundaries, and we're really excited to have him as part of the UK offering at Expo Astana 2017.
The UK is a small island nation that generates more than $100 billion a year in revenue for the UK economy through its creativity. Britain's creative industries provide more than 2 million jobs to its citizens. According to Jim Buttery, head of the British Council Kazakhstan, that in itself is an interesting story to share at the Expo.
At the heart of the UK's cultural programme is the dynamism of the UK's creative economy. The UK is a world leader in its creative industries, and we want to share some of that expertise with audiences at Expo. Now, what I mean by the creative economy is where culture, the economy and technology meet.
The UK cultural programme will include a musical showcase that respects the musical tradition but also goes beyond. Visitors will be able to experience the innovative UK theatre that will surprise and hopefully enchant them.
We will be introducing our City Nomads exhibition, which will encourage people to experience Kazakh tradition in a very, very contemporary and new way. So all of these experiences together will, we think, be great for the visitor, and it will help connect them with something of the UK's creativity.
The British Pavilion will be open to guests from the 10th of June and onwards all throughout the duration of the Expo. The UK will have its National Day on the 26th of June, and it will be a celebration of the UK as a modern, diverse and open society, and as a country that is open for business.
We will have a number of very well-known artists, performers and creative economy leaders coming to Kazakhstan during Expo. Not all of them are known to audiences here in Kazakhstan, but they are known as world leaders in their field. Leaders from the world of design and architecture, leaders from the world of fashion, leaders from the world of music, and leaders from the world of creativity in general.
The UK's cultural events will not only take place on the territory of the Expo town, but will also be organised in different venues of Astana, allowing the guests to visit different parts of the young and thriving city.
Visitors will also be able to experience their city, the city of Astana, in a new interactive way. So they'll be able to understand where the city gives them happiness, where the city gives them joy. This, we think, will be a surprising experience for them.
While the UK Expo team does not want to reveal too many details of their cultural program, they are confident that the visitors will be positively surprised.
I'm not going to give too much away now because we want this program to be a surprise. So, you'll have to wait and see, and you'll have to watch out for local adverts and local revelations of what's coming next.
The United Kingdom and Kazakhstan have nurtured political, trade, cultural and academic ties for the past 25 years, and both countries enjoy thriving business relations. The UK is one of the top 5 major investors in Kazakhstan and one of the major destinations for Kazakhstan students pursuing their education. The UK Expo team believes that the World's Fair will help further strengthen cooperation between the two states.
So of course we've got an award-winning design we hope is going to be one of the best we hope in the entire Expo, but on top of that we're putting together a huge programme to showcase British business. We'll have ministers visiting, we'll have other delegations, the Lord Mayor and others coming out, all of whom will be bringing business delegations with them. That will give us a chance to introduce those companies to Kazakh counterparts and to really show them how we can work together. But also we're using it as an opportunity to work more generally in the region.
What we want out of Expo is ultimately a lasting relationship between the UK and Kazakhstan. We want to use the platform that Expo gives us to boost the relationship, the friendships that exist already, and new friendships that we think we'll be able to generate. Because once people are friends, they're more likely to trust each other. And once they trust each other, they're more likely to do business together. We think that's in the interests of the UK and of Kazakhstan.
One of the things we want to do with our presence at Expo is to develop the relationship between your country and my country further. And we want to do that in all sorts of areas: educational collaboration, scientific and technological cooperation, getting young people from both countries together. We also want to do it in the business sphere too.
One of the biggest outcomes that the UK Expo team is hoping for is more than just doing business and strengthening intergovernmental relations. It is also about creating an experience that will become a lasting bright memory for the visitors, touch people's hearts, and bring them together.
I know people often look at events like this and say, oh, that's an awful lot of money to be spending. We had exactly that before the Olympics in London in 2012. And the press were being very critical and they were finding faults with many aspects of it. But once it started, everybody joined in the celebration. And it became, I think for all of us who are living in the UK, one of the happiest times we've ever lived through. And it brought the whole country together. We had something which we could celebrate. It put us on a centre stage around the world. People could see that we weren't just a country with a great tradition, but we had a really ambitious future as well. And I hope that people here will find in Expo something similar, something which will inspire, which will excite, which will change people's lives. People will come to Expo and think, I really didn't know that was possible. And that's what I want to do. I want to be part of that. And that will be a fantastic outcome.
Charles Hendry is impressed by how much and how fast Astana is changing ahead of the Expo.
That it's always changing. That I wonder how there are any cranes left for other cities in the world, and there are so many cranes here. I find the architecture is fascinating. I think you're getting a real variety now in terms of the range of hotels, the type and style and range of restaurants which are here, that it's becoming a more sophisticated city all the time. But what I think always strikes me is the drive, the energy which you find here. That it's not just a new city and a new country, it's people who are determined to create their own future.
The opening of Astana Expo 2017 is approaching fast. While the organizers are busy with the final touch-ups and preparations, the city's residents and people of Kazakhstan in general are looking forward to becoming part of this significant event that will feature the power of human creativity, the latest technologies, and fascinating innovations in the field of future energy.